with this. You got to have a why for business. If you don't know your why, you shouldn't be in business, you guys. If you don't know your why, you shouldn't be in business. Let's do this. Dion, can you give me a short answer? Why are you in business in real estate, and what fulfills you about real estate? And you didn't know I was going to ask this, but I'm going to ask because I...
It's a hard time.
Yeah.
My why for real estate. Well, I'll tell you what my why was when I first started. It's adjusted now. But my why was to actually to help. My why was to help increase the level of service and opportunities for the specific my market.
Yep.
That I saw,
Yep.
that I felt was not being served properly.
Yep.
And to help open up doors for them that they would have never thought they could walk through.
Yep.
And I guess that's still my why.
Yep.
Making sure that all the opportunities are afforded for every single person who is qualified and has that desire for them.
And I'm going to add, now you've gone from the customer, your clients, to the entire world of real estate with your community and people of like-mindedness, and say, okay, let's share in that vision. That's powerful. That's powerful.
I had a great opportunity to just reach out in so many different sectors.
Yeah.
And like you said, all over the country.
Yeah. Kathy, if I was going to ask you what your why is, could you give an answer? Why real estate? What's going on with that for you?
Well, I would have to say currently, because I've been in it 30 plus years, my why is I see so many agents who don't look out for their clients. They're in it for, okay, a deal here, a deal there. It's not a deal. It is personal. It is people. It is helping families. It's helping them right from start to finish. And
Yep.
I don't think enough people are. A lot of times I see it just given off to other people. Here you go, take it, run. You are a number to me. You are not a person to me. So my why is the personal attention and truly helping families. And kind of like what we say, from our family to yours.
Yeah.
That's really how we treat our people.
Yeah, it's legit.
You better believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. Dana, if I asked you, what would you say?
My why is I'm a big believer in community, and I think that real estate is a vehicle to serve your community and to help build your community. Through placing people in homes, it has a ripple effect in the social environment and the financial environment of a community, and that's huge to me.
Yeah. So I won't say shit in front of everyone because that probably would be inappropriate. But the shit we've been going through, if you don't know your why, it's going to hurt. Your why is stronger than anything that come against you. Don't lose sight of it, you guys. And by the way, everybody's why is different. And that's okay. It's one of the most beautiful things about Realty Executives, in my opinion. What really attracted me to Realty Executives 30 years ago is no one, and Billy would say the same thing. I asked Billy about 20 years ago, what's the number one thing you like about Realty Executives? And he said, they leave me alone. They don't tell you, like where I came from, they told you, get in the box and don't come out. And like when I popped out a little bit for a couple of things that were working beautifully, like marketing, promotion, like I'm crushing it, they're like, you can't do that. That doesn't fit our image. Like, what are you talking about? What if it fits my image? It doesn't matter. So Realty Executives, you can do whatever you want, especially here at Integrity. You do whatever you want as long as it has integrity and it's ethical. Go ahead. Had somebody talking yesterday about their pets and how they're using their well, now one dog because she lost the other dog, but her one dog to communicate her business. And it's like, was it Sky? No. Ski. Ski says, you should list your home with me. And it took me back to the pet rescue realtor we had here. He came from a traditional company in the area, and he showed up and said, I think I got to get out of business, but I'm at least going to talk to you first because I am a pet rescue realtor. I'm like, what is a pet rescue realtor? He said, my heart and my passion is to rescue pets, and that's where 95% of my business comes from. By the way, I can't touch that market. I don't have those relationships. I'm like, 95% of your business, what's that look like? He said, well, I closed 34 homes last year. 94% from the pet realtor connection, which is, by the way, pet rescue. And it would be foster to adopt the pet and this whole thing that, frankly, I do not understand. But he was told, because he put it on his business card, a picture of himself with a little pup saying, I'm the pet rescue realtor. They showed him the door. They said, you get that off your card, you use a traditional card that we approve, or you leave. I'm like, dude, we'll have that card for you in 5 minutes flat. You can work here. And for many years he did, until he went down to Tennessee, because he's more in the heart of the whole pet rescue scene now. But like, are you kidding me? Can do whatever you want, but guess what? That's his why. So know your why. So Haley, let's start with this. What is your why?
My why is definitely helping my clients, family, friends, people referred to me, and then just helping them realize things that they did not know that they could accomplish if I wasn't there helping them. And then on a personal level, I'm in it and I work hard for my family.
Okay. All right. So relationships and relationships of trust.
Yep.
Right? That's my style too. We have people in this company that aren't that interested in relationships of trust, and they will do a volume of calls and calls and calls. Guess what happens though when they're making those calls? It's an amazing gift I don't have. They can take a total stranger and make the call and build a relationship, even though they don't even realize it. They're building a relationship of trust by what they say and how they say it. But they may make 1,000 calls a day to get like 2 listings. And I have never made 1,000 calls for that purpose in my life. I made calls with relationships of trust, though, to build and grow those relationships even further. Haley, you came up with something, I don't know how early on in your business, but there was a basic problem of, like, I would say, being reminded of what to do, seeing it in front of you, knowing how to structure that and organize that. You call it your weekly tracker. Can you talk to us a little bit about the weekly tracker? Explain how your weekly tracker works and what problems it solves for you.
You will all see this in front of you, and at the end of today we're going to send out links for you guys to copy everything and make it your own as well. So
if you don't have one, raise your hand. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. If you do not have one, everyone does. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So this tracker, I mean, I've modified it over the years. I've had it now for probably 3 or 4 years, pretty close to when I started. And I just realized, like, I really, with how my weeks look, it was so easy to just sit down and be like, so what am I going to do today? How am I going to reach people? How am I going to gain clients? And it just would just sit there basically, or I'd do things that weren't really generating any business. So I really looked back at what helped my business grow, and I put it on a very simple 3 things to do a day. Some things from just organized, which I need, like, hey, don't forget to go and log your mileage, because the first year I was in sales, the end of the year when I had a whole book of things looking at me, I was like, I don't know why I was here, versus now it just happens every week and I have reminders for it. And then also things that do generate business from a referral standpoint that I focus on. So from handwritten notes to making sure I'm posting on social media, different reminders that just keep me going forward without recreating the wheel every week.
Okay. If I wanted something like that, what does it look like and how would I do it? And is it expensive, or how do I pull that off? And I can modify it to fit my own needs. By the way, I love a week at a time, but go ahead.
So I don't have mine down here, but I have it printed on a 50-page like notebook that just tears off every day or every week. It's like under $50 for so then that lasts me the year. I'm 2 weeks short every year, so lasts me pretty much the whole time. And then if you take vacation or Christmas, then there you go. It lasts you the whole year. And then I have a thing that we have a few different samples in with different layouts, different samples, and you can modify it yourself. You can reach out to marketing; they can do that for you. But yeah.
So, has anyone ever heard me describe the 3 lists of getting things done? One is this huge, heavy to-do list. The 1 is a priority list. How many items do we want on the priority list?
3.
3. And then the most important list, in my opinion, is a success list, where once you accomplish those priorities, you can put them on the success list. By the way, put that in front of you and look at that every day, because you can remind yourself that you're in business and what you're doing to get done. And so what Haley has done is created a weekly that becomes a daily priority. Here's my 3 things today. And so guess what we tend to not do? We tend to not ever turn off. But if you have 3 priorities that day and you get those done, guess what you can do? You could call it a day. Now, what happens, Haley, because I heard you talk yesterday, what happens if, for example, this week you're going to be gone Thursday and Friday? Where are you going?
I'm going up north with Max.
Is that an annual thing you guys do?
Yeah.
So husband and wife get away, take Thursday and Friday off, and head up north. So what about those Thursday and Friday items?
I have been working on those earlier this week to check them off and move them up. I always keep my schedule very fluid that way because family is a top priority for me. And my schedule, like, I think we should all be able to allow some fluidness with that. So I Monday worked on a little bit for Thursday and Friday, Tuesday same thing, and just try to get everything checked off, and or the social media on there I will schedule in advance.
Okay. Comments, questions, or we'll move on. Go ahead.
I'll say, because obviously I use the same thing because we're one of the same. The best part about this is when we created this together last year, we both collabed and like, well, what do you feel is more important and what do you think is more important? What would something that would help you? One of the biggest things for me is tracking my miles every week. Like, holy cow, doing it weekly is so much easier than doing it annually. And I will say the best part about this is now that we're almost in for a year, we can change it for next year. Like, there are no rules, and we can decide, you know what, this day I kept falling behind on this every single week or multiple weeks of the year, and then we can just change it for next year. And it's like a growing process to how to run our business and how to fluid our business through what works better for us. And you're not tied to this. Like, this was really scary for me, but you're not tied to it. It helps.
So 2 really important things. 1, just because you're together on a team or working together, it doesn't mean you're following the same system.
Right.
But by the way, you might want to. Just saying, for anybody who's got a team, it's like, well, I do it this way, they do it this way. You might want to find some common ground where you can come into agreement. Number 2, there is no flipping way I'm going to have anything about mileage on anything I'm looking at weekly. That's crap. I'm just telling you, just not happening.
I need
So
it.
like, I can tell you that, like, for years and years and years and years, I've got the system down where it takes me about 5 seconds flat. It's probably completely, totally not well, whatever. But I could always make it up later if I had to. But guess what? That's just me,
This is
right?
an extra accountability part.
No, I get it. I'm just saying your list needs to be your list. So if you're looking at this saying, well, I wouldn't do that. Of course not. What would you do? What are the 3 activities? Someone may say, I've got to make so many calls before it's 10:30 a.m. every day. I've got to. So Claire, you have something similar to this. Is it very similar?
Yep.
Okay, so give me 3 or 4 things each week that have to be done for you to drive your business that are on that list for you.
Birthday videos to clients and family and friends.
Well, time out. Wait.
Yep.
You do a birthday video or multiple birthday videos every week for a client, past customer. First of all, how do you even know it's their birthday? So you're stalking them.
100%.
You find out that it's their birthday, and you do a video, and like, I don't like videos. I'm a little inhibited. So what do you do with the video?
You get over yourself and you do it anyway.
Okay.
And it's the best feedback because you're top of mind with people, right? Like, you just stay top of mind, and it's nothing business related. It's I care about you as a person, and I hope you have a great day.
Wow, I would put that much higher than tracking my mileage, just saying. So give us like one more other thing.
My handwritten notes for me as well. And it's specific to, I actually do just people that I engage with throughout the week. A homeschool community, a school community for the girls. Like, it's places we are every week. And then I also do a business partner, like industry partner, whether it's a lender, whether it's a contractor we work with, because that also is somebody who's going to continue feeding our business.
Love it. Hey, just so you know, guys, I do this all the time. I get kind of like, what do the boys call it? It's not lying. It's not exaggerating. Yeah, not fabricating. It's like a much nicer word than that. Embellishing. So I embellish all the time. Like I'll never do tracking mileage and stuff. I'm just trying to do that for one reason. By the way, 90% of you may say, "Thank you, that's wonderful." I'm doing that so you realize this has to be yours. It has to be yours. Yep. Your business needs to look like you. So Haley, you have this thing that, again, it wouldn't be my deal because I don't like one of the words. And I said that yesterday in front of a group of about 18 people from Janesville, and they all told me how wrong I was. So feel free to tell me I'm wrong again. But you have another tracking system, I think it kind of ties in, where you call it your hot, warm, and cold tracking. Is it like, well, you explain that. What's hot, warm, and cold? What is that?
I'm going to put it up over here so you guys can see it, but I'll also kind of just describe it. And then, again, you guys will get a copy of this to make your own if you are interested. I have to turn up my brightness because I cannot see.
Good to see.
Okay. So this I am in, as you guys can see on my tracker, every single week. There's algorithms put in here that I did not put in. I think Stephanie had something to do with it that I'm just going to leave alone. And if you use it, I recommend leave the algorithms be. That will work well. So as you guys, can you see my cursor up there? Yeah. So over here, this automatically goes in. It keeps my goals on track of what's going on, what I've closed for the year. Pulls in what my goal was, which was 10 million closed. Then you just track here on your closed section that pulls in here. So the part that I'm in every week and changing every week
Wait, time out just for a second.
Yeah.
You said your goal for the entire year was 10 million?
Yeah.
Just so you know, you're just about 103,000 away from that.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Cool
October.
to see. Yeah.
So what's your new goal?
I don't know.
Okay, well, you better get one.
Double it. 3 months to go.
I'm sorry. You got hot. Keep going.
Yeah. So the hot, warm, and cold piece are the stuff that I'm really in and engaging with every week. So the people in the hot category for me are people who I'm actively out on showings with. We've had conversations recently about purchasing or selling their home and or both. There's some people on this list that have been on there for 2 years because they're looking for a really specific property and we're just looking maybe at 3 or 4 a year until we find the one. And there's some people who live on this list for a month and then they're closed. It just kind of depends on the people and where they're at.
I love this. So you have 10 million, 9 million plus in the bank under the hot list that you can look at in a second and say, this is where I'm heading.
Yeah.
By the way, most realtors couldn't tell you where their next sale's coming from. Commonly hear this, like, I closed everything, now I don't know what I got. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what you have. Yeah. I love that this says spring of 2025 on 2 of them. That's what this says. Spring. Mm-hmm. What's that mean?
So I'll use Missy as an example. She's somebody who's been talking to me about selling her dad's old place and just getting it ready. And she told me likely she's thinking spring because they had to go through probate.
Got it. So she's committed to you, mm-hmm. but she can't hit the market quite yet.
Yep.
I love it.
Exactly.
Okay. Keep going.
So then the warm list. So these are all people who have, so I'll just use an example because I think that's a lot easier. You'll see Mike and Ty I have on there fall of 2025. That's when they're getting married and they told me we're buying and selling as soon as the wedding's done and we have it all paid for. So they've had conversations with me about that next step. It's just not an immediate thing right now. Less immediate than the spring of 2025 as we're having more active conversations. But the people on this list for me are people that I know are coming up. They've had very warm, there you go, warm conversations with me about it. And it's not an immediate thing, but just to kind of keep them on my mind of tracking them and being able to engage with them more often.
Quick question.
Yep.
Because you maybe haven't done this, but I'm going to do it with you right now.
Yeah.
So of the hot, how confident are you that sometime by the end of 2025, those people are all going to be closed?
Very confident.
Very confident.
A handful, like
so
3 of them.
I'm just going to say this.
Yeah.
Your goal for 2024 was 10 million. You're going to exceed that. Your goal for 2025 should be based upon like a realistic expectation is you've already got almost $10 million in the bank. It's how helpful would this be, you guys, to actually have that and see that? So you're telling me you're going to send this and all I have to do is plug in and it plays. Okay, keep going.
I just also think like this list for me really helped because like how easy is it for, as Dale was talking, you have, let's say, a killer month and you had 7 deals come together and close, and then all of a sudden you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I don't have anything pending right now, and like what's going on? And it's so easy in this business to get in your head and sit there and, I don't want to say like freak out, but kind of, and this list has really helped me just kind of stay centered and just know, okay, things are still happening and here are the people that I need to reach out to.
So on the warm, I see a couple that say 2026.
Yep.
Of the 6.5 million, what would you say is like 70% going to close next year? Possibly?
I'd say probably about 50. I'm
Okay, so
guessing.
there's another 3 million. Okay,
Yep.
now we're going to cold.
Yes.
I
this
don't
is
do
the
anything
one-
cold, so I hate cold. I don't like that word. But you've kind of redeemed cold. You have a new take on what cold means. What's it mean?
A new
It's a
take.
word that matches the other.
Yes. So the cold list are people who have not yet had a conversation with me about it, but just based off of life circumstance, I am under the impression and assuming in the next 3 to 5 years, you guys are going to be making some kind of a change. I base that off of they're having a baby, they're getting married, they're still in an apartment, just based off of life and our personal relationship with them, where they're at.
By the way, I'm just going to pause you. I don't know anyone that does that. I mean, I've been in this business a long time. I certainly wouldn't call them cold, but I would call them like potential prospect, like whatever. Because cold to me is just like I'm frozen, I'm not moving. By the way, everyone in Janesville said I was nuts and leave her alone. I'm not really picking on her. I'm just saying, you call it what you want. But this is the thing. It's gold. Like, how can I, by the way, guess what? Do you ever go on Amazon and you're looking at a few things but you don't buy it, and the next day you go on your computer and it pops up like, you need 5 of these, Dave. You need 5 of these. And you're like, I was just looking at those yesterday. What the heck? They're doing what she's doing on that cold list. They're saying, we anticipate that you will consider, and so we're going to keep suggesting and keep suggesting. So how do we know that someone's going to make a change? Guys, there's only 2 or 3 or 4 reasons why people move. And she mentioned 2 or 3 of them just now. Like, life changes make a difference. I would say, we also talked about one earlier, I'm dissatisfied with where I'm living right now, 80%. That alone, there's gold in those hills. Hey, by the way, are any of those people that bought within the last 2 or 3 years on this list?
I had some people who have purchased with me about every 3 years on this list.
On this
so,
list, okay,
yeah.
cool.
Well,
Yeah.
Dale, the idea of the cold to warm to hot is like a boiling pot of water.
No, I get it.
You know, like you put your pot of water on and it's cold.
Mm.
And then eventually and gradually they start to move up the list. And that's one of the coolest things for us is to see when somebody moves from cold to warm or somebody's moving from warm to hot just because
Yeah.
we had another conversation with them.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they're in our clothes. And
Yep.
we're like,
Yeah.
okay, they've accomplished the list.
Got
It's
it.
like a goal that we have for them that they don't even know
Yeah.
about.
Right. So how, and in keeping with that, but sort of also contrary,
Yeah.
how many times does someone go from from cold to boiling hot way sooner than you expected?
I had this year, I'll just use again an example. I had one client purchase and sell that were on my cold list, and they were somebody who I'm like, they're going to get engaged soon based on how long they've been together, and they have his house to sell, but they're going to want to buy their own home. And I'm just, again, assuming that this is going to happen. It was maybe 2 months ago, you guys, that I saw them they're good friends with my sister. They had a party at their house, so I saw them there, and they were just kind of like, hey, Haley, like, just so you know, this is not an immediate thing, but we're kind of starting to think about the next step for buying our next house and selling the home in West Dallas. So in my head already, okay, you guys are going from, you've been on my cold list, you're already at my warm list. The next week, we saw 2 homes, wrote on the second home, under contract, 2 days later, listed their home, and they're closed now. Like, it just being able to be more aware, and if they wouldn't have been on my cold list, would I have been more intentional about going up and talking to them at that party and just saying like, how's the house, how's life? Probably not. Just like they're always in the back of my head then to be able to be very mindful of who I'm talking to in those circumstances.
So we talked about knowing your why. What she's talking about is knowing the customer's why.
Yeah.
That takes a relationship of trust. But absolutely, I love that. So
They got engaged at closing too. So they, for the reason they were on my radar, it was for good reason.
So, how about where there's somebody that had worked with a different realtor in the past? You kind of just assume, well, they're probably going to continue to work with the realtor. By the way, do not do that and don't make that assumption. What if they couldn't stand that realtor or whatever? So this is, you want to tell a little bit of that story and what happened?
Yeah.
That's a compelling story.
So I guess I have two people very similar to this. One not using another agent, but who has always bought and sold a home on their own with an attorney. And then somebody else who is highly into investing, friends' parents who have been using a real estate agent very consistently. They buy on minimum 2 homes a year that they're working with. I think just a reminder to everybody, when you guys lose, just really be mindful of, again, of your why and who you're talking to, because when the one who ended up selling on their own, this was 3 years ago, I went there, we had a whole marketing plan, they were committed to using me. Good family friends, I've known them since I've been 2. And a week later, they called me, they got an offer on their house. They were not marketing it, somebody came up to them. They called me crying, telling me like, we're not gonna go ahead and use you, we're closing in a month. And as much as that hurt, it was like, hey guys, this was the goal. I'm really happy for you. Like, I think you have to kind of remove yourself from business sometimes and really celebrate the people. I bought them a closing gift on that house that they closed, and they have now bought 3 homes with me since. I think just a good reminder to be very, remember your why. And if for me, my why is my people and where they're going in their life. And just because they didn't use me doesn't mean I shouldn't still celebrate them. The other people with the story with the investments, they've been using an agent. They have actively, I would say, marketed against me to their family. Their mom was gonna sell their home with me. We're in conversations about it, and they're like, no, you need to use our agent. And she did. And then she told them how horrible the experience was. And I think,
Mom did?
Oh yeah.
Like, thanks for the advice.
She's like,
Not-
and it was like a $900,000 home,
Got it.
beautiful home, and she was not happy. And I think that kind of changed their mindset too. They bought with me this year, and I'm going over there next Thursday to give them a price on their home that they're going to be selling in about a year when they sell, when they build.
And these are people that invest, so they will buy more than one property potentially too.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. Let's talk about, comments, questions, hot, warm, cold.
That's a great tracker.
Yeah, Vicki, did you?
No, I was just saying it's a great tracker.
Yeah. Oh, the tracker, by the way, you don't have to invent. We send it to you, and all you do is plug and play. So if you have any trouble with it, then just let me know, because Excel spreadsheet's right in my wheelhouse.
You'll just have to make a copy of it, because we'll send everybody the viewable link, so that you'll make a copy, it'll go right into your drive, and you can, so that it doesn't get messed up or changed, and yours will be yours.
And if the algorithms aren't working, just contact me, because I should be able to give
Have
you
her
the
fix
exact
them.
formula. Because, I'll help if needed.
Cool. All right, let's talk about the yearly marketing plan. What does that even mean, and what does that look like, and what's the purpose? Let's start with the purpose. Why do you have a yearly marketing plan? Why?
So I guess first, kind of to set the stage, this one is all focused on mailers. I think we could really get into the weeds about social media and all the other marketing things that go into it, but I wanted to really focus on the mailers today.
So this is one example of one marketing outreach that you use that's mailing to your customer base. Okay.
And the why behind one having the plan set in advance is it's so easy to get busy and be like, I haven't sent something to my people in 4 months. When we were setting the goal this year, it was they're going to be getting something at least every quarter from us that is important in the mail. We had somebody ask yesterday, how do you justify the cost of stamps going up? And I was like, well, that's pretty easy, because at the end of the day, I know on the low end that doing these mailers is going to get me at least 1 deal a year. that's going to pay for the stamps. It's going to more than cover it. And I'm like, that's how I can justify doing the mailers.
Let's clarify it. The person that said about the stamps was someone that was not unlike many of us, was just mailing out based on, oh, I sold a home in the neighborhood recently. I'm going to send 250 or 500 mailers. And what we would say more mass mailing, or I would say more generic mailing, and not based on a relationship of trust, or that, hey, I just received something from Kathy and I know who she is.
Yeah.
So your mailing is not mass, it's not generic, it's specific.
Yeah.
So who are you mailing to,
Yeah.
and why is it worth the higher price of stamps now?
Yeah, so I have about 225 on my database. It's family, friends, past clients, people who've been referred to me, people I've engaged with on social media that I used to go to school with, or things that we've been able to engage in conversation that I've been like, I'd love to add you onto this. So just the people who do know me and trust me.
So 225 on a mailing list is one of the ways you end up with this year 25 to 30 closings. Let's do 250 and the 225 closings. So your first year in the business, for someone like Demi, who has started with us in, I think August, and has had how many closings so far? 1. Woo! Like, come on. It's only October, young lady. That's amazing. So let's talk a little bit about that. And now that I say let's talk a little bit about that, what the heck was I talking about?
About closings first year.
Ah, so you're 225. What was it your first year in business?
Around 80.
Maybe 80. And I remember your mentor was saying, get to 100, get to 100, right? So what do you think your mailing list, these are people know you, trust you, respect you, have been referred or whatever. Let's say in 5 years, what do you think that would be?
5 years from now.
3 to 5 years from now.
Say somewhere between 100 and 120 probably.
Additional. So you're going to be in that 325, 400 mark. Okay.
Again, though, people that I know, and like my goal is not numbers from that. Like if it's at 275, that's still great. The goal is, though, that it's people who I do have a relationship or I'm gaining a relationship with.
They're going to be glad when they get it.
Yeah.
All right. What else do you want to talk about the marketing plan?
So do you want to just pass this around?
Yeah. What is this?
So you guys will see newsletters on here. There's also cards just for you guys to see, like, I have a little bit of OCD when it comes to branding, and you'll see that our font is the same, our colors are the same, and I think that's really important, especially when people are getting mail from you, because even if my name wasn't on here, they would know it's from me now.
So
that
one
they've
of
been
these is
getting
a
the
mailing
same
for
look.
the spring, one of them is a mailing for the summer,
Yep.
and then what are these? Little
Those are
handwritten
handwritten
notes?
notes that I use every
Okay,
week.
all right. So we're just going to pass along.
So just kind of gave an example of what we did this year. It's not quite done, but we will finish the list. And just different touches of making sure that what's important is, again, like I focus on who my clients are and why I'm in it, and it's personal relationships of trust. At that point, I'm going to be sharing personal information about my life in these mailers. I've gotten so many great responses off of that because people are getting updates on hey, Max and I got a dog. We went to Montana. Here's what our next adventure is. But then the flip side is the business. I think it engages people at a different level. And for me and who my people are, it just makes a lot of sense. You will see the last thing on here is a holiday card. They're going to get our Christmas card. There might be a mention of real estate on there, but really that's almost 100% personal. You guys will get kind of a look of what these newsletters are, but you'll see the personal side of it. And then as the year has gone on, we've done different stats that they can focus on. Really encourage you when you have stats on your mailings to make sure that they are not in real estate lingo. You will notice on there I don't have things like GCI or volume or things like, we're being very specific to them. There's been blank sales this year. We have this many coming up. Like, make sure you're talking to them. Otherwise, they're not going to really pay attention to the stats at all. We always do just kind of a little simple 3 to 4 stats, something that's easily accessible to them. And people read it. We had our customer appreciation event a month ago, and people came up, they're like, So 40 homes for the year, guys. I'm like, so you're looking like, okay, that's so exciting. But just to be able to have that, and then also you'll see the baseball magnets and football magnets. Those are things that stay out for a period of time. And then we're including different things in that, like inviting them to our customer appreciation event. One, you'll see that in the newsletter, but we also do a free drink ticket when we send out the magnets as well, just as another touch. And a good time to be able to personally reach out to them as well about that.
So I think one of the key things is speaking a language that customers understand, and they don't understand. I'm a $2 million producer.
Yeah.
What does that even mean? And a lot of companies will do that. The old days, they used to actually put a full page with little people like the realtors look at each other and say, look at that, $5 million. Like the consumer has no idea what that means.
Yeah.
And so do they understand GCI? Not really, and is it any of their business? No, it's not. And so if we talk about our success with another home sold or a new listing coming up or 40 homes sold this year, that's impressive, right? So start thinking a little bit more in terms of what means the most to the people that are in the general public that you're trying to reach out to, right? The other thing is, I can't tell you how many times I went on listing appointments where I came in after 3 or 4 other realtors and every one of them had this little brochure that said they were number one. Like back in the day when I was number one. It's like, okay, what does the customer think about that, right? You know, there was, the classic is the guy with the race car that was number one in the whole world, right? Like, whatever. Like, you probably know him. It's like, I don't think so. You've never even come to our marketplace before. What are you talking about? So the customer doesn't care that you're number one. What do they care about? That they're number one. It's so good, right? So that's the whole thing we're kind of proposing, like, that's the look and the feel.
Yeah.
Okay, what else about the marketing plan you want to talk about?
Really just from the mailer standpoint of this obviously is very specific to us and what works and to our people, but to, again, find what works for you. I do encourage you to send out something to them that they physically have. I think it reaches people at a deeper level. I'd say this year I have I probably did half of this last year as mailers. So I still did the magnets, but maybe one newsletter update and then maybe an end of year thing. So maybe 4 that they got. And I can say, like, my business has drastically picked up this year, and I do think the mailers are a big part of it.
Okay, if you were going to change one thing for 2025 from your marketing plan, like add or delete or whatever, what would you do? Or what are you doing?
Yeah, deleting, sending just sold postcards to a neighborhood. I've done for the last 5 years, and I have not gotten one return off of it. And
Okay,
really,
what she said, listen to this. I am no longer sending just sold cards to specific neighborhoods.
Yep.
But
Well, she's not done talking yet, so go ahead. What?
But really, like, looking back at who is your ideal client, and again, focusing on who am I focusing on? It's my people, it's getting referrals. So I'm going to be sending the just sold postcards to my database. Steph's been doing that this year and seeing a big return on it. Letting them know what's going on and who we're helping. Now that card's going to look a little bit different. It's not going to be just sold in your neighborhood because it's not going to be in their neighborhood. But just to hit them and let them know and get more mail from me.
So my question always for a sales executive is said, I want to do a mailing of just sold, a listing I just sold. Okay, do you want to get another listing in that neighborhood? Like, often they will say, not really. Okay, then what are we going to use that sale for? And what's your why with that? So if you're sending it to your customer base, what is your customer thinking? I, in the past, would tend to say, well, I can't send them that one because it's not in the marketplace and they don't really care. No, what do they care about? They care about you and your success. And so they're looking at that and maybe even thinking like, oh, grandma lives down there. We sometimes think too much about what we think the customer wants, and what the customer really wants is something to know about you, how you're doing, how it's growing. Now, if you say, yes, I want to own that neighborhood, okay, we've got a plan where we can follow to, you will own that neighborhood. Can I just suggest to you, it's extremely expensive and it takes a lot of time. I mean, literally 2-3 years and probably about 15 to 20 grand. And what happens often is we have agents who would say, I want to mail and own that neighborhood. And then they get like 3 to 6 months and say, it's not working. It's just not working. It's not working. And guess what? We haven't given even birth to that yet. To ingrain your name and your brand and buy a neighborhood, literally buy it, it takes time. And it's costly. Now, by the way, it works, and you will get a return. Don't get me wrong. I did it for years and years and years. But what Haley's doing is saying, I'd rather spend my money on my 225 people who know me, trust me, respect me, again, knowing her why, and I'm going to share with them what I'm doing. And the results have been tremendous. So again, it's up to you. The business should look like you, but it's something to think about, because what's the number one reason why every agent ends up saying, just sold, just listed, let's mail them, let's get them out, got to get them out, got to get them out, because everyone else is doing that. But just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean it's right for your business. Could be, but not necessarily is it. Okay? All right, let's do this question. And let's ask everyone out here. Raise your hand high if you've ever bought a lead, a buyer lead or a listing lead, or you're buying leads ever in the history of your business. Raise your hand and keep it up. Okay. Now, if you're no longer doing that, put your hand down. Okay, so we've got 4 people still hanging in there. All right. Have you ever bought a lead?
No.
Wait a minute. Now, you've been in the business 5 years, and you've never bought a lead.
Correct.
Okay, so then how are you doing $10+ million and 30 closings and all this kind of stuff? Where's your business coming from? Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're buying leads and it's working for you, I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying, what are you doing instead of that?
Yeah. So again, it comes back to a lot of the marketing and realizing that I want to work with people who know me and trust me, and or are referred to me. It just really, like, that's how I really enjoy my business then, and I'm going to focus and put my eggs in that basket instead. So from a marketing standpoint, from social media, everything is targeted that way, but then also being very aware of the conversations I'm having with people. It's so easy, I feel like, for people to be like, I'm in real estate, what are you looking to do? And that feels super uncomfortable to me. So for me, it's a much more of a, when I'm meeting somebody who maybe I kind of know but isn't on my database yet, but they're like a mutual friend and I want to get them there, how easy is it to just say, how's work going for you and what does that look like? They're going to ask you the same question. And it's so easy for me, once I change that script, to be able to start talking about real estate with people who I wasn't talking about it with, but are also kind of in my sphere as well. And so that made a big difference for me.
Comments? Questions? Okay.
I guess I have a question for everybody. What do you guys, can I just get a raise of hands if you guys are doing the just sold signs in the yard after your buyer closes?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing, because let's just clarify this first. So some of you don't even know what we're talking about. So normal, average, traditional
I'll
type.
pop a photo up there while you're talking too.
of brokerages is you put the sign up when it's for sale, you take the sign down when it closes. What we've done is we've created a sign for when you're working with a buyer. And so the sign goes up, it's, XYZ Realty. Everyone thinks, oh, Joe Smith with XYZ Realty sold the home. No, you did. And so we have a system where you can get permission from your buyer to put a sign up when the listing agent sign goes down that says sold by, and in this case, sold by Haley, right? And with the Realty Executives, the phone number, just sold.
Yeah.
That's the message, just sold. We have those available. And we also have a form that Dana created, which basically makes sure it's compliant and and everyone's on the same page with with this new owners of the home giving you permission to have that sign put in their yard for a period of time. It's powerful. And so,
To touch on that
Yeah.
quickly, remind yourself that they're gonna forget that that sign was ever there from when the listing was up. But when they see the just sold, you know they're driving past and immediately going on Zillow and checking what it sold for if they live in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
To find out how much they could sell their house for. And in turn, that's a potential listing. I had somebody call me just to ask, like, hey, we are not interested in selling our house, but I'm curious, what did it sell for?
I also think that these signs, like, it gives me a good opportunity of how am I staying in touch with my people post-closing. This gave me an opportunity to go and see my friends who just got engaged, to see, okay, what did you guys do already in 2 days since you closed? Being able to go there and have that conversation relationship with them. Yeah, with my buyers as well at final walkthrough, I always prep them, hey, I'm gonna be taking a photo of you guys with my sold sign. And this gives me a great opportunity to, if I wasn't able to get it in time for their closing basket, to bring them a photo framed of them holding my sold sign as well.
cool.
Quick question, how are you timing that? Because sometimes,
Yeah.
like, listing agents don't order the sign down right
Yeah.
away, so are you touching your people to say, hey, let me know when the sign comes down?
It kind of depends on like who they are. There's some, I usually ask the agent like, hey, when did you order it down? And then keeping in touch with them. But then it's usually 3 to 4 days after a closing for me, just as an opportunity to go see them, see how the move went. And at that time, most of the signs have been down for me.
I love that it's another way of being present and engaged and showing up. I was taught by Howard Brinton that the number one most important time to be in front of the customer is within 30 days of the time they've closed on their sale.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, it's when things happen that are concerning to them, and most realtors hide.
Yeah.
And instead, he said, no, you face it. So on the day of closing, you bring them a basket with, wine, cheese, some crackers, meats or whatever. Because guess what? They're frantic, they're moving in, all that kind of stuff. He called it the closing day rescue kit, but you're the hero. Maybe even some toilet paper if they haven't moved that, and the different types of things that they might need that day.
Yeah.
But then within the next 30 days, it just automatically, you're contacting them every week.
Well, and then I'm
Every
going to
week.
go back there in 2 weeks to pick my sign up. So it gives me, that's 2 touches in that first month that are just kind of automated based on this sign, which really keep me accountable and seeing them, which is nice.
So Haley's leaving the sign up for 2 weeks. Guess what? I'm leaving up there for 2 or 3 months. I mean, it's free. Why not? And so I know one of the things on the form, I think it says something like that you get permission to leave it up for a certain amount of time. I mean, whatever that is, you can fill in the blank, cross it off, put whatever you want. If the buyer agrees, there's beauty in that because it also allows you to talk to other people about the people that moved in. So yeah, one of the questions is, what did it sell for? Another question is, who's moved in?
Yeah.
Who knows that better than you? So this is a really, really inexpensive, powerful marketing piece. And if you're interested, Mercedes, do we do this through the marketing department? And it's pretty simple and straightforward. We get a volume discount. So generally we get 2 at a time, but if somebody wanted more than that, if they're a high producer, they could get more than that. And then we have the form, we have the order, they can customize it whatever they want. It's got to have, by law, it's got to have Realty Executives to identify your brokerage, but it can have, trust me, we love, it's your own logo, your own name, your own identity, and what you want on there is up to you. Powerful tool, and help me out. Is it like less than $100 to get some of these signs? Yeah. So
And
do it.
For me, especially now making the transition of I've stopped doing the sold postcards, this kind of does that for me. And I also had somebody reach out yesterday once the sign went up, and she's somebody I went to high school with, haven't talked to her. She was a grade above me, kind of similar acquaintances, but haven't had past conversations. And she messaged me off of this sign. She's like, all caps, she's like, you sold a home across the street from me. I just saw your sign. And I'm like, whoa, like that's so cool.
Yeah.
So being able to, again, it points back to people who do again, kind of warmly know me, but now I'm working on getting her added to my database.
The least expensive, most powerful source of advertising always has been and always will be the sign. Always. When people say, I see your signs everywhere. It's kind of like after you bought this car and you think you're the only one that has it, and then you drive down the road and you see that car everywhere. It's the same thing with the realtor sign. When someone knows you, they see that and like, we see your signs everywhere. Well, this just multiplies that. It's such a simple process, okay? Mercedes, I'm going to ask you to come up. I got a chair for you right up here. I know it's your favorite thing in the world to do. So we had a group of about 10 or 12 people that were at a conference just last week in Nashville. High level, high producer, kind of remind me of the old days with Howard Brinton, that was led by producers. There were people that had 250 closings a year. There was one that had over 550 closings a year. And they're up there telling us kind of their ideas and their concepts and what was working for them. And it was really compelling. If you're interested, it's under B Coaching. It's just BE period, Coaching and Consulting. By the way, you can get some ideas from that. I don't know that I would sign up because they're extremely expensive and I'm a cheap date, and feel free to just ask me and I'm happy to coach you and I can do anything that they can do, only better. Just saying. In fact, I think this presentation would have been one of their best presentations that they had, just saying. But there was something that was so compelling and so good. They had this lady get up from England. She wasn't a realtor. She's basically a team builder. And she said it was her first time in the States. And she had a very thick accent, British accent. And sometimes it was hard to understand her. But she put together a diagram that I think is just so dynamic and so important. And
my computer was about to die, so I just shut it down.
we've got the eagle. The eagle has landed. Is that legit? Like, do you have a videotape of a bald eagle?
No. That's just what came up on the TV. That is not mine. The background of mine is my dog.
Can you imagine the possibility of what could have come up? Like, I'll take the bald eagle. Okay.
Again, it wouldn't have been my computer, so.
Somebody apparently, well, never mind. So, like, no, really, like, who comes down and watches, like, National Geographic?
You were the one
or
on the
something?
TV before.
Oh, stop. Hardly going to do a bald eagle. Okay. How do I know what my time's worth? How do I know what's the best and highest use of my time? And how do I know when I give myself permission to stop doing it? And it was brilliant how she put it together on one simple chart. She calls it Architect Your Joy. Now, this is the little touchy-feely side of the things, but I get it. She said, guess what? The most productive workers are the ones that are the most joyful. The most productive realtors, let's get real here, are the ones that are most joyful. Dion caught herself earlier, but it's like a reflection of all of us. Like, tell me your why. And it was like, oh, it's been really hard lately, right? And then she caught herself. And I'm like, I love this. She's like, you know what? What's my why? It goes back to what I started with. And I think as she was doing that, it was refreshing to her. It was refreshing to me. But what about our joy? What is it that doesn't bring joy? Right? And for you, it might be, I hate the paperwork. I don't want to do closing files. I just want to go sell. I'm not keeping track of miles. Right? And so one of the things we've tried to do within the brokerage is if it's something that doesn't bring you joy, I never called it that before. I'm going to go with the flow here. Like, if it doesn't bring you joy, why should you have to do it? And so I don't want to do transactions. Well, let's find a way that we can take you from contract to close and have a transaction management service. By the way, not mandated. It's totally up to you. And for $295, we take you all the way through to closing. So you don't have to hire a transaction manager and you don't have to do it yourself. by the way, that's pretty bare bones like cost, because other places are doing this for $350 and $450. I saw $500 the other day, okay? And I don't think they do it quite as well as what Dana has assembled in her team that she has, where like this transaction, they send out information and it looks like you. It's like, hey, I just want to let you know, I'm Kim and I work with Billy Prom. I'm part of his team. And you're going to be hearing from me on a consistent basis from the contract to the closing, and handles every single detail, dates, deadlines, the whole thing, right? That's not a commercial. That's just really the truth. We have a marketing department for the same reason. Like, oh, I wanted to get these things out, but I don't. Well, guess what? These gals will go ahead and put together your schedule, and they'll follow your schedule even if you don't. And they'll do it basically at cost, right? So what she was saying is, hey, what is it that is stealing your joy? Or what is it you're doing that you shouldn't be doing? And what she assembled was this beautiful chart on one page. And it just simply asks the question, can I? Can I? You either say yes or no. Track your mileage, Dale. No. Can I? No. And I'm not going to start. I'm not going to start now. Hey, get on dot loop, Dale. Absolutely no. But Dale, don't you love dot loop? Yes, I love dot loop. Do you do it? Nope, not my hands. I'm not touching it. Do you know the password to get into dot loop, Dale? Hell no. Well, how can you possibly do it, right? But hey, can I meet with a customer and not leave until I secure the listing and they're smiling and patting me on the back? Yeah, like 99% of the time, yes, yes. Then the next question, do I want to? So, can I? No. Do I want to? No. Done. Can I? No. Do I want to? Yeah. Then let's find someone that can show you how to do it. Okay? On the other side, do I want to? Yes. Oh, can I? Yes. Do I want to? Do I want to? Well, yes. But what if you said, no, I really don't want to? Give you an example.
Transaction coordinator.
You're at home, because this is not just business, it's personal. You're at home, and you're cleaning the house. Can you? Yes. Do you want to? No. Can I? Yes. Do I want to? No. This little arrow comes over here and says,
Can I automate?
I got a couple of answers, yeah. Can I automate? Like build a bot? I don't know what the hell that is even, but can I automate it? Oh, it would be one of those little guys that goes around. Do those work, by the way? The computer, like little vacuum thing? I would never want that in my house. But can I outsource it? Or delegate it? Or find someone else to do that? Some of you have teams. Some of you have teams. If you have a team, this is like precious in your hands. Because I think you do it not just for yourself, you do it for everybody on the team. Some of you have a home. Oh, we all do. And a relationship with someone else of trust. And you're saying, I can, but I don't want to. So that means he has to. I'm not doing that. You're doing it. But wait, I don't want to either. Right? So within a relationship, what if both people say we really don't want to? It just takes you right there. So we're going to pass this out, and then we're going to talk about, we got 5 minutes before lunch comes. So just pass these down the aisle. You bet. There's a... How amazing that the back row is the most occupied row here. Take the extras. Oh, you got it. Good. Okay, so Mercedes, let's talk about this a little bit. Let's start with you. You're on your own. You do your own business. You're solo. You don't have a team. How did this resonate with you, and what kind of things did you see that were helpful to you as you were processing?
Yeah, I mean, when we went to Nashville, the woman was kind of prefacing this as like being on a team, and as an individual I was like, okay, how can I look at this for myself? And I honestly think it's pretty easy because I am my team and I do everything on my own, and being solo, it does get overwhelming, and there's some things that I'm not good at that I know somebody could do better. So what you were kind of talking about with transaction coordinator, that was a given for me to just pass on. That brought me no joy at all. That took so much time, and I thought what that cost of money would be was worth the time and energy that I get to put somewhere else. It's like prospecting. Like I'm being with my people, talking with my clients instead of spending countless hours on doing something that doesn't bring me joy at all.
Okay, so every time you have a transaction and you have an accepted offer, you do not do the paperwork or the closing file.
Yep.
So you turn that over to transaction management, and someone then oversees that for you.
Yep.
And you're saying that brings you joy
Yes.
and relief
Yes.
and takes pressure off. Guys, I'm just going to say this. If you're struggling in that area for $295, I mean, I'll tell you what, just for the heck of it, try it out once. If you're interested in trying it out once, I'll pay the $295 for the first one. Because guess what? I'm pretty convinced that later on you're going to say, this is worth it. It's worth it. I want you to actually see what happens. In fact, let's just ask Dana, like, what does it even look like? Because you're in charge of this whole thing. It's your baby. What does it look like, the transaction management? Like, I'm Sadie, and I'm saying, here's my accepted offer. What happens with it? And then, well, she's Sadie and she gives it to you. I'm the customer. Like, it's my home and she sold it. What happens for me? What does it look like?
So once you get an accepted offer, we make an initial communication to all parties that are involved in the transaction. The agent on the other side, to let them know to copy us on all communication, because we're kind of going to be the air traffic controller in the background, watching dates and deadlines and shuffling paper between the parties so that we can get to the closing table. We also send an introduction to the client that you're working with, explaining our role, that they can expect weekly communication from us. We update the dates and deadlines weekly, just so that they know that someone's got eyes on the prize and outside of just their agent. For someone who's a solo person, it's fantastic, because I introduce the TC department as a member of my team when I'm going up against listing appointments, or people who have teams. I do have a team. I've got a marketing department, I've got a transaction management department, and so I utilize that in my listing presentations to say it's not just me you're getting, it's an entire team that you're getting. We only charge the $295 if you close, so I've had it where I've worked a file right up until about 3 days before closing, didn't close, and restarted that, and you only paid the $295. So we kind of adopt the philosophy that we get paid when you get paid.
And you have 3 different people on the team that are specifically taking different, so you can accept more clients.
About dates and deadlines.
Yeah, they're the opposite of what I would be. Could you imagine if I was on your team trying to do the transaction management? That would be, no, I wouldn't qualify.
Fear in her eyes.
I would not qualify. Haley, what jumped off the page at you on that in terms of what hit you and some of those things?
For business, it's the same. For transaction coordinating, I try to run my business very efficiently so I can do things elsewhere. It's very important, and that hands down has changed everything for me. From a personal standpoint, it's been now almost 2 years since we've been getting our house cleaned twice a month.
Wait, you've been getting your house cleaned twice a month? Mm-hmm. That's expensive.
No, it's not. And I used to think that too. I was like, I'm not going to spend my money on that. But I'm like, in the at least 3 hours it's going to take me to clean my house, maybe 5 to the point that they clean it. So 5 hours, twice a month, that's 10 hours. What is my time worth? And it's worth a heck of a lot more than what I'm paying for them to be there that I can be pouring into my business.
Yeah.
That was a major mindset shift for me, but Max and I get to enjoy our time together. I get to focus more on my business. He gets to focus on his.
I love that we're using both professional and personal. And so if on a personal level, I give you an assignment if you choose to accept it, like take this home with your significant other or your family members, even children, and look at it and talk through it and discuss, like, what is it that they do not want to do that you've been expecting them, you have to do this, you have to do this, right? And how can you adjust accordingly, right? Because if it brings them joy, and then maybe find out other things they do. I'll give you an example. 2 years ago, I was coaching and mentoring with 2 top producers, both young moms, both like on the rise, rising stars, and they both said, we just don't have time for this. And I said, why not? And they both said, because we have so many other things to do. One was cleaning the house. One was actually mowing the yard and taking care of the landscaping at their home. And I said, now that's interesting. Why do you do that? And she said, because my husband absolutely cannot and doesn't have the time to do that. I said, do you enjoy it? And she said, no, I do not. I'm like, let's find out what the cost is and the time. By the way, their level of production, and I thought at the time, until this lady opened my eyes, it brought joy. But at the time I thought, well, it freed them up. They have more time. That's true too, by the way. But their level of production went from here to here within the next 12 months. Like, not kidding. And so we looked at that and compared the cost of the cleaner or the landscaping crew, it compared to the cost of what they had, the income that they gained by making that change. So really ponder and think about that. Any comments?
That was the first thing I said when I saw this. I was like, I am going to sit down with Mark and go through every single thing that we
Together.
do every single week together and figure out what we need to do. Like, this blew my, I'm like, yeah.
It's that simple. Yeah, Aaron, go ahead.
No comments. I mean, I could give 1,000 literally, but from a high level, this is taking extremely high level theory that you read about and putting it into daily practice. And It's so impressive.
On one page.
On one page, and on a couple, it's taken from the year to the quarter to the month, to the week to the day. It's structured, it's intentional. For those who haven't read the 4-Hour Work Week from Tim Ferriss, or Who Not How, if you read them, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, how do I put this into practice? It's right here.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly impressive.
So the 4-Hour Work Week was a book that was highly recommended by several of the speakers from Nashville. You want to tell us, because you've read it, you want to tell us just a synopsis, a little summary?
Sure, it's this. It talks about things such as the 80-20 rule, and you're kind of mentioning it right now of, do I want to? Am I good at it? And eliminating the 20% of things that are creating 80% of your headaches. We can all relate to that. It's systemizing your time, outsourcing your time on things that are task-oriented, so you can spend time on relationships and volume-driving activities. It's this, it's being very intentional. One of the sayings in the book that always stays with me is, if it's measured, it gets managed. If it's not measured, it's just lost in the wind. And obviously everything here is measured and it's being managed, and you hit your highest levels of success. Bravo. I mean, it's literally all right here, in some fashion or another.
I love it. So this is perfect timing. I'm glad you're here. One of our training series that we have is a mastermind series. Aaron actually leads that. We'll have that again in 2025. We'll give you plenty of warning and advance notice, but in every magazine, every month, you'll see the path to success. And one of the high-level trainings that's offered is Aaron's class. Is that a 5-week course?
5 weeks, yeah.
And you want to just give us a synopsis about that a little bit too?
Sure. It really starts out with, first and foremost, really digging into your own daily habits, how you operate, the emotional intelligence of yourself, identifying your own strengths and weaknesses. And from there, we really get into maximizing your time. Some of that was obviously talked about in great detail today. From there, we get into a marketing think tank from everybody in the room on what they do best and how to take 1 to 3 things and grow their business. It's kind of like the taking Buffini, what people took from that, and then how they put it into practice so people can hear the real stories from their peers and steal best practices and grow together. From there, we do get into a real estate investment masterclass. Julie and Mike have spoken at that. Aaron and others have spoken at that in terms of what they do. We break down ROI. They have given a really great formula in terms of flipping. A lot of people are like, I don't want to be a real estate investor. What I've seen from that class is so many people come out of there and are much more equipped when they meet a real estate investor at a gathering, and they can hold their own and they attract those investors and grow their business if that's something you want to do.
Yep.
And then the final one is a goal setting masterclass that we always get amazing feedback on.
Yep. Now this is, I would say in real estate world, we're talking about graduate level training and coursework. It's 5 weeks. During that 5 weeks, is it like an hour and a half, 2 hours when you meet, basically? Yep.
Call it 2 hours.
Yep. And the cost is always something someone would want to know. The cost for taking that course is?
$500? No, it's no cost.
There's no cost. How about, but you want us to read maybe some books or do some research. How about the materials?
The materials are presented for you. They've been put together. We will give you each and every class different book ideas that are directly tied to things we talk about. So if there's an aha moment of like, yes, this is an area that I need to focus on. I've heard from some longtime veterans of like, I've never systemized my time like this before.
Yep.
After we got through the maximizing your time and becoming more efficient and
Yep.
effective. And they knew exactly what book to go to in addition to the tools and resources we gave them. So that's just one example of many where everything we talk about has a legitimate reference or resource that you can turn to.
Yep. And so if you don't know, Aaron is also with A Plus Mortgage, but he's basically part of our Realty Executives Integrity family. He's probably more Realty Executives than he is A Plus, honestly. Like he lives here, breathes here. If you have a situation with a buyer situation, I'm going to give an example. Just happened to Haley yesterday. She had a buyer that she's trying to get an offer in. It's a 2 o'clock deadline. The buyer's mortgage lender is not responsive and not meeting that time frame. She called A Plus, and I believe it was 45 minutes later or something like that. Got everything she needed to meet that time frame and get the deal done. These guys are in our office location not because you have to use them. They're in our office locations to earn your business, but they're also in our office locations because, in my opinion, they're the best. Also, Chris is here with executive title, so thank you for being here. You guys have been really, really busy. Is there anything that you want to share at all, or?
Oh my gosh, we're just, everybody's been amazing, and it's been incredible to work with executive title and be there for the agents and yeah.
Yeah, you're part of the family too, so this is fun, and thank you. I just got a comment yesterday from someone that has been in the business as long as I have, who's using executive title, who said, I'm not surprised, but everything's gone without a hitch. Thank you. So thank you, Chris. How many? Well, you do. And how many years have you been in title business?
12 years.
12 years.
13 actually, yeah.
All right. Hey, our lunch is here. Feel free to grab it. We're offering pizza today and some other things. And Tori, in typical Tori form and fashion, is getting things ready. But let's just do like the back line first, back row, and then we'll just keep moving forward.